I think I have discovered a major flaw in QuickBooks Online, and I'm the first in the world to make it public. It is undercharging for sales tax, drastically undercharging for sales tax. Discovered this yesterday.
DougBot said I'm working here.
And I'm going to tell you about it. I got a confirmation for SpeakerBot. I got confirmation for my audio. For those of you who like to do research on this show, yeah, I'm going to explain to you what's going on. I have not researched it yet. I don't know if other people are reporting it. I'm saying, without having done any research, that I think I'm the first one reporting it, because I can't imagine QuickBooks wouldn't just fix it instantly. It's a online browser-based program. When they discover this problem, they should be able to fix it instantly. And there's no updates that anybody needs to do because it's browser-based. So here I'm going to explain it to you. Unbelievable. The reason why I found this is because I'm converting from QuickBooks Online to FreshBooks. And from January 1st, 2 days ago, I'm fully on FreshBooks, but I'm still copying things over. So yesterday I was working on getting my outstanding invoices. Not that they're anything special, they just haven't been paid yet. They're normal invoices. Getting those recreated into FreshBooks using a Python code that Gemini created for me, or helped me create. And I saw that the amounts were coming out different for the invoices. Track back why, and it's because the sales tax is different. Why is the sales tax different? Because in QuickBooks Online, when you have a markup for an item, you're going to sell a piece of hardware that you've bought from Amazon, or that I buy from Amazon, I use a 30% markup. Well, the way QuickBooks Online handles that is there's one record on the invoice that I see that is the item, and there's another record that is the markup. And when QuickBooks prints the invoice, it merges those two together so that the client only sees the total amount. They don't see the markup amount. Now, on the invoice, when I'm creating it, there's a checkbox for sales tax for both of those records, and both of them are selected. Yet the sales tax for the markup is not showing up on the invoice. It's under billing for sales tax. And I don't know how long this may have been going on for a long, long time. The invoices that I discovered on it were about a month old. So how long this has been going on, I don't know. So for those of you who like to do research, go ahead and start doing your research. And I am somewhat pre-prepared that I can actually demonstrate it for you, actually show it to you, where there's the price charge for the item, charge to me for the item, and then a separate line for the markup, and then generate the invoice and show that the sales tax is not being brought forward for the markup. I have a hard time imagining that if other people have reported this already, that is not, fixed already. So am I really the first in the world to discover it? I don't know. That's hard to believe. I'm moving things around here a little bit. Greg M says, what is that knock on the door? Oh, it's the sales tax auditors. No, they won't have a problem with this. The state has still been getting all of their money just fine. Here's why. The way I pay sales tax to the state, the way everybody in California, businesses, pay sales tax to the state, is they have this form you fill out. It says once your gross revenue, and then you get to subtract your non-taxable items that you charge your customers for, and then the remainder is what you pay sales tax on. So they don't care what I've collected from my clients. State doesn't care at all. The state has been getting all of their money. And if I were reconciling the two figures, how would I even do that? See, because I'm on a cash basis, when I buy product, I pay sales tax on it. I don't do the thing where saying, don't charge me sales tax because I'll pay it direct to the state. No, I pay the sales tax to Amazon. I want to do that because I don't like having this great big huge sales tax bill. So I pay that part, but when I go to pay sales tax to the state, they have a line for prepaid sales tax. The cost of items purchased that you paid tax for, it's worded differently. Yeah, so the tax man is not going to have any feathers aren't going to be ruffled at all. Drinking some lemon ginger tea, spicy. Hello to everybody in chat. I'm looking to see if there's any other comments or questions about this particular issue. Now, the delivery for the parts for Braden's laptop. Braden is my grandson, for those who don't know. Last week, we looked at getting replacement parts for the back cover for the display screen and the bezel. I did wind up ordering both of those from Dell. And originally those were supposed to come in Tuesday or Wednesday of this next week. Well, yesterday I got a notice that those are expected to arrive. I'm looking for where this is at. Expected for delivery today between 11:55 a.m. and 1:55 p.m. my time. So if it comes near the early part of that, we might get to do something with it. Now that's why I have the window open. You might notice a little different lighting. Here's why. I'm going to switch to this camera. I've got the shades all the way up so that I can see when the truck pulls up, because this delivery, let's see, can I show this? Yeah. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, I'll just close that left-hand panel. And then this delivery does not show my address. Yeah, so here, scheduled delivery, 11:55 a.m., 1:55 p.m., and signature required. So I don't want to miss that. I don't want to miss them. Now, clicking that sign for shipment thing here, I tried that. I've tried that a few times. It's not working. At one point, it looked like it was going to be an electronic signature, and another point, it wanted me to print out the form. So I had the form on screen, but I didn't have my printer configured correctly to print from Big Beast Build. So because I have changed the boot drive and the computer name on Baby Beast, and the printer's connected to Baby Beast. Oh, Doug, your systems are so complicated. I don't understand it all. Hi. Let's see, arranging things over here a little bit. Catherine Anna Hauserman. Wow. Hello, Catherine. So nice to see you. Catherine Anna Hauserman used to be a regular coming to visit us. I don't think we've seen her for a while. Nice to see you. I hope you're well. And she's catching up with a bunch of people. Oh man, always miss the first bit of the stream. Let's see, if I come over here to this 3-dot menu, I can at least say hi to everybody. Well, I don't think that's quite everybody that's here. If you haven't chatted in the last 5 minutes, you're not on this list. If you haven't chatted in the last 5 minutes and you're not on this list, you could go put in a chat right now and you'll pop up on this list. So hello, Greg M., Jeff Ryman, John Williams, Catherine Anna Hauserman, Ken Stout, Mark Gaines, Phil Stodd, Rick Lakes, and Scott. And John Williams. Yep, I just saw John Williams over on the chat screen to my left, and then he popped up on this screen. So we'll see if anyone else pops up. Selden Ball, hello there. Good to see you. Now, Selden's at the bottom of the list because there's are alphabetical. So if somebody has popped in here alphabetically that I didn't spot them show up, then it's hard for me to catch. John Lewis, I'm not sure if I already said hello to you. So hello. Ran Israel, hello. Zavi Manor, hello. Yeah, catching everybody this way. That way I don't have to look through all the repeats. Okay? I have been so busy with converting over to FreshBooks. I originally thought that I was going to do some Windows 11 upgrades over New Year's Eve holiday, and I did some on through the Christmas holiday as well. But I wound up not doing it on New Year's Eve. I just said, no, I've got to get this bookkeeping stuff converted over. And there's things that they do differently. On my invoices, I have in QuickBooks Online, there's a column for date, a column for the type, whether it's service or resale or hardware, whatever. And then there's the description. In the description, I typically have the time range, start time, end time, and a description of what I did. Well, I got a bunch of these invoices recreated in FreshBooks, and then I realized that the FreshBooks invoice does not have a column for date, so all the dates were missing. So I go back and make another adjustment to the Python script to where it will take the date from QuickBooks and paste it in at the beginning of the description. The description has the time range and then the words. So I had to redo a bunch of the invoices, which is running a hotkey combination. Alt-Q copies the information from QuickBooks. I just let it run, just watching it run, going through all the fields, copying everything. And then I click over to FreshBooks and I've got it set for Alt-S, and it pastes all that information. There are a bunch of other oddball things that I had to fix to get that working right. Let's see. I see somebody addressing me. I'm going to see if I can catch other names. Mark Gaines, I think I said hello already. So anyone, John Lewis, I think I said. Oh, ILD Love 4JC. I don't know your name, but this person's been around for a while. Before YouTube switched over to these channel handles, I didn't have to do this translation. Edward Bass, hello. So I'm going to drop out of that window now and go see somebody has. John Williams says, hello, how are you? I am good. I am good as well. Thank you. And down here, Phil Stodd. Do you have any more information concerning HDCP issue that you encountered with the new laptop last week? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. During the show last week, I was unable to get my capture device to work with this. Was it Braden's laptop? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it had to be. And so what we did was we went and got the, downloaded the software for disabling the HDCP in for the capture device. And what I did after the show was over is I did some more research on that, and turns out that software that we downloaded was a full video production suite. And there was another version that was more of just a configuration and driver that would be lighter weight. So I was interested in doing that. So I went ahead and used Revo Uninstaller. You saw me use Revo Uninstaller to install that software. I used it to uninstall that software, then shut the computer down, unplugged it to be sure I was getting a full cold startup, plugged it back in, turned it on, and the disable setting was still intact, which proved that changing that option changes it on some kind of ROM memory on that board. So I don't have to have that software installed at all. And I made the point last week that I wanted to keep this computer as slim and trim as I can, because of the troubles that I ran into in the past when I didn't do that. So I have
Chat,
completely
please.
uninstalled, and that feature is still working properly. And who told you HDCP was the issue? Well, I knew it originally came from Jim. The sequence of conversation, I think there were more people that were aware of that issue last week than anyone else. But that's kind of Jim's way of saying, hey, throw me some points. No, he's not saying that. I think he's kind of sarcastic about points. Yeah, and yeah, I heard Ken recently mention that Doug keeps saying that he's got plans about the points. Yeah, all of the points that you've been getting, they are recorded. They are on your permanent record. They will come back to haunt you. I don't think Ken Stout's even here. Oh yeah, he is. He was asking if he was speculating when he thought I wasn't listening if I was going to give him some points. So if I were to give him points, it would be something like this. I could double the points that I what's the word when you give something by virtue of just choosing? Discretionary. Use your words, Doug. I can double the discretionary points that I gave him last week. So double what I gave him last week would be 3. So here's 3 points for you. I don't even know what he was saying during his New Year's Eve show, which was scheduled for 12 hours long. Did they make it? Missed it by that much. That much. So Ken has 453 points. Phil says, good to hear it worked out good for you. I ran into the same problem with my AverMedia capture device about 2 years ago. I think I ran into that problem about 2 years ago too. And probably a few other times. When isn't Ken here? Well, sometimes him being here just means that he shows up once in a while in chat, but he's got a bunch of other screens going on. So it's a crapshoot if I talk about him, whether he's going to hear it or not. So nobody has had a follow-up comment about this sales tax thing. Yeah, I don't know. This crowd may not be even interested in that, but I am trying to get this channel more in line with my perception of what would help independent IT pros make more money. Now, that's a different phrasing than I've tried before. That's a lot easier to say than that long old Windows support providers. Independent IT pros to become more profitable, and bookkeeping is part of it. So addressing bookkeeping issues, discussing it, it's a valid thing, I think. So let me see. I was going to show some screens here within QuickBooks Online. And in doing this, I got to be careful. So I have studio mode set up, and I've got a popped out big display over here, excuse me, so that I can blur things as needed. And if I go, okay, so now I've got studio mode on. So there I can bring that up. And this screen doesn't need any blurring. Nah, we don't need no stinking blurs. Here's transition. So here's, oh, now that's interesting. That causes me to see that. Oh, what if I do this? Turn off studio mode, and then I can see the big screen there. Oh, all right, that works. So this is an expenses screen. The expenses come in automatically through the bank connection. So my Amazon expenses will come in my Amazon expenses will come in, and then I configure them or allocate them to say how they should be allocated to a client. So let's see, I know I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. So I can bring this back, transition, turn that off. Part of this is me practicing how to walk the edge line. So if I go new transaction, now normally I don't create an expense by doing new transaction because the new transactions come in automatically through the bank connection. So if I click new transaction and go to expense, that is going to bring up an expense screen. And I checked this earlier. Yeah, but I'm just nervous. So I'm going to switch back over here. I'm going to click expense. And I'm pretty sure that comes up completely clean. Yeah, so here's what happens. I've not done anything else. And then who did you pay? Well, since the expenses come in automatically through my Amazon account, I don't normally have to type this in. So I'm going to type in Amazon business. And the payment account is that. Now it's remembering the last thing that I charged for an Amazon purchase. And so bringing that in automatically. Here's how I handle prepaid sales tax to vendors. If I've paid prepaid sales tax to a vendor, such as Amazon, this is the amount of tax that I paid on these two items. Now, let's reconfigure this a little bit so it's easier for you to see the problem when we get to the invoice. What we're going to do is we'll delete this second item, and we're selling a Samsung 990 Evo Plus. I'm going to change the rate. I'm going to say it's $100 because that's going to make it real easy to see that the sales tax was configured wrong. And then I'm going to turn off my picture-in-picture. I'll go to the next tab and I'm going to say that it's billable. Now at one point here, I'm going to need to do a blur. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that blur on. I kind of pre-positioned it, I think. Yeah, it must be that one. Is it though? Is it? I'm going to position that a little differently. Let's bring that all the way out this way. I think that covers enough. Okay, so then, so we say that it's billable. That's not going to pop up clients. But I'll go ahead and turn on that blur. So that if it pops up clients, I'm not going to expose them. So there's that billable box. I click on that, and then that puts in my default markup of 30%. And that's blurred out. You can't see the 30%, but trust me, then it says sales amount right here that is $130. And there's a check mark automatically for tax. I don't get to do a separate check mark for sales tax for the markup. It's one row here. Now then I've got that blur all the way. I'm still nervous about it. Okay, I'm gonna switch and I'll just make sure. Oh, it did different. Oh my gosh, I was about to expose them. What happened is I've got my browser at a different position on the screen. So when I click that drop-down box, instead of opening up a window down below, it opened the window up above for my pick list. Good Dougie, good Dougie. Taking the cautious road. Is that new around here? Being cautious? Okay, so I am choosing a client name that is okay, already approved for me to expose to you. He might not like me saying that I'm exposing him, but because he's been on the show before. He's been on camera with me on the show before. So now I can turn off that blur, and his name is John Krikorian. And at some point when we generate the invoice for him, you're going to see his address. Well, that is his office address. And what's more, he's actually moved out of that office. He's no longer in that office. So we're not exposing anything there too either when we get there. Okay, so this is the expense item. When I generate an invoice for him, it's automatically going to populate with this item to be charged. Then I do save and close. I'm going to take that off screen as I do that because, again, unrehearsed. Sort of, a little bit. I did a little bit of checking, but obviously it's not always going to work right. Okay, so then I need to get to invoices. Now, the way that I do invoices is different than what I'm going to do here, because the way I do invoices, I don't send an invoice to every client every month. That's just too much work. What I do is I go into my sales tab looking for my oldest unbilled time charge. And I'm looking for something about 90 days ago. So my oldest unbilled time charge. I'll find that, and it's going to be around 90 days, usually a bit over 90 days. And I select that, create an invoice from that, and brings in all of the time charges and all of the expenses for that client. So my clients typically get one invoice about every 3 months. Much easier on the paperwork. I don't really get paid for paperwork. So keep it down. Now, let me go. I gotta think for a moment where I go do this, since this is not the normal way that I do it. So I'll go to Customer Hub in QuickBooks Online, and then go to Sales and Invoices. Then I'm going to go start a new invoice, and then we'll populate that invoice. I'm not going to bring that back on screen until then because there's a bunch of other stuff here that I would have to be checking every screen to see what needs to be blurred out. And this part I did not rehearse. Well, maybe a little bit. Okay, so this screen here looks good. And then let's see, I can scroll all the way down on that. Yeah, here we go. So here's the invoice, and up in that field up there, I select the client. I'm not going to do that drop-down box live because that's going to expose a bunch of clients. Invoice date, invoice number, it increments automatically to the next invoice number, and then this area is for product or services, the service date, product service description, quantity, and so on. So I'm going to select the client, John Krikorian, and then bring it back on screen. Now I'm checking here. Oh. Yeah, the invoice exposes my address as the location of the sale. Can I just delete that? Yeah, just delete that. Oops, nope. As soon as I click somewhere else, it comes back. All right, so that'll be a blur. Studio mode. bring that up on the studio screen. Click a blur. That sounds like a fun word. Click a blur. And then drag that over my address.
Read chat, please.
Does this guy know what he's doing, Jim says? What I'm doing, walking the edge, walking a narrow, thin line. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, now see, as soon as I scroll, then that blur, whatever's blurred there, gets exposed. And how about if I do this instead? I'm going to blur just a great big area so that as I scroll, that is not going to be a problem. Okay. So there's that over there. Turn that guy off. Yeah, looking good. Okay, transition. Here we go. Studio mode off. So I've got this whole area up here in the upper left blurred, just because it's easy to do it that way. So there's John's name and address there, and this is my address here as the location of the sale. So down here is the service information, and then here's billable expenses. If I had time charges, they would show up down. They would show up in this panel as well. All of the items would show up here in date order. And all I do is I click Add All. Now I told you that I start typically from the oldest unbilled time slip. So once I start from that and I say create an invoice from this unbilled time slip, that item would show up as the first item in here. And then all the rest of the stuff would be showing up here. And I would just click Add All, and boom, just adds all of those items. Now I'm going to click the Add All, but I'm going to take that off screen while that happens, because I don't know what things get moved around differently at that point. Okay. And keep in mind, I have not tested whether this method of creating a new invoice is going to produce the same error. If it does, I think it's kind of a big deal. So then I'll go back to studio mode, put that back on screen, make sure the blurs are right, and then make sure that I can scroll. Yeah, and that shows the markup. Okay, let's see. 1086, I gotta see what clicking on see the math does for sales tax. Yeah, 8.35%. 8.35%. Ah, it looks like it's doing it right. Because if it was only doing it on the $100, then the tax would be $8.35. All right, so here we go. Transition. So here's what it looks like. After adding that, here's the resale item, shows that it's taxable, and here's the markup, 30% markup. And it says right here hidden, because this bid is not going to be shown on the invoice. So there's a $30 markup, and it has a check mark for sales tax. Scroll down here, and it's showing me the $130 taxable subtotal and the 1086 sales tax. If it had done the sales tax, 8.35%, I think that I'm saying that right, on the $100, then the sales tax would be $8.35. This is showing up correct. So why were all of my invoices showing up wrong? unless QuickBooks already fixed it. I don't know. I don't know. So I guess I can't come out as being the one who discovered QuickBooks Online massive error. Oh well. I'm disappointed because that would have been fun. Now, what can I? I'm not at all prepared to go show one of the old invoices that has it wrong. Can I figure that out? I'm going to leave that invoice without saving and go to Accounts Receivable, Reports, Standard Reports, and Who Owes You? Let's see, can I show this? Yeah, I could show this. So I've gone to the report screen, scroll down to Who Owes You, and I'll click on, let's turn off that blur. Go down to Accounts Receivable Aging Detail. But I'm going to take that off screen. Because I think there's one of those invoices that I think I looked at it to determine that, yeah, I can show that. Let's see. Got a couple clicks here that I have to do to set this up. Now, there was one that actually had those particular devices. Yeah, those two charges. That would have been this one, I think. But that invoice has so much stuff on it. That invoice has, remember the items, each row. This has 40. This invoice has 43 items on it. Oh. Now that is quantity 1 for the Samsung. Oh, and there's a couple others up there. So how much of these can I show without, I gotta scan through these and see. Yeah, there's a bunch of currents of names. So what I can do is, oh yeah, this will work. This will work. How many times has he said that and been wrong? Okay, studio mode. Bring that up on the studio screen. Adjust a blur. My new favorite word, adjust a blur. Drag that down there, and I'm going to blur out the entire description column for the full length of the screen. I think this will work. And transition. Studio mode off. Did he do it wrong? Transition. Okay. Yeah, he did a little bit wrong, but on that particular screen, there's very, very little of significance. Okay, so here we go. Here is a, this one, let's see, no, right here. Let's use the red dot. This one is a B-Link computer for $265. And here's a 30% markup for it. Now, most of the time what happens is I use my client's credit card to buy the product themselves. I don't like reselling product. In this case, I had to charge her for one of them because her credit card was declined. Well, that just has to do with her credit card recognized that this is not a normal charge of hers. So since then she's fixed that. So now she's getting to pay direct prices from Amazon without paying my markups. So anyway, 265. So then here's the markup, and it has a check mark for tax. Now, if I scroll down, we're going to see others. Here's a Samsung 990 Evo for $129.95 and its markup. For things, for smaller purchases, which the Samsung SSDs I consider smaller purchases. Although if her card was working at that time, I still would have used her card, but it wasn't working. And then here is the graphics card that we had to put into one of the computers in order to upgrade to Windows 11. And then here's another Samsung drive. And so notice each time we have a markup, there's a check mark for the tax. And that's item number 43 on the left-hand side of your screen on this invoice. Crazy. So then we get down to tax. $39.66 sales tax. That's not enough. When I did I had the AI help me with a calculation. I said, why are these numbers different? And it said, well, the markups were not included. So like if I come up here and remove the check mark for this sales tax, I think we're not going to see that change because this one's not included. And it did. It went up. The sales tax went up when I told it to not charge for that item. You know what I think has happened here? By removing that check mark, I think it has correctly calculated the tax for the other markups. Now when I put that check mark back, I bet you it's going to recalculate and it's going to fix the whole problem. Yep, that's what the total sales tax is supposed to be. I shouldn't have to do that. Oh, I see my head was covering. Sorry about that. Well, I can't redo that because it's already recalculated. When I take that check mark off now, it'll recalculate to the lower amount. He did it wrong. Well, you heard me describe what was happening, so you have to decide whether you're going to believe me or not. All right, so come back here. And do I need to do anything with, oh, you know what I can do? Oh, yeah. I will exit that invoice without making any changes. Leave without saving. Now I should be able to go back and show it to you the way that I saw it. Scrolling down. Yeah, I think that's the wrong number showing there. Okay, so studio mode, bring that up on the studio side. Confirm that my blur is working. And get down to where the sales tax shows. And yeah, okay, this should do it. Famous last words. Okay, and studio mode off. Okay, so here's the tax showing $39.66. That's the wrong amount. So if I remove this check mark to say do not include sales tax on this item, you would expect this number to go down if we're not going to include sales tax on this item. Watch what happens. I remove that check mark and it does a calculation and it went up because now it has correctly included the the markup, the sales tax for the markup items of the other items that I'm reselling. So now I put the check mark back on, and it does this calculation correct. So I have sent out a bunch of invoices undercharging, underbilling for sales tax. Okay. Bring that back. And when the Python script recreated those invoices in FreshBooks, it did not. I just had it put in the it combined the price that I'm charging for the cost that I paid for the item plus the markup on one line, because FreshBooks doesn't do markups the way that QuickBooks Online does. So I have to put in the amount that I want to charge, I think manually. Yeah, caramba. Now I need to fix this screen so that if I accidentally show this screen, I'm not going to reveal stuff that I shouldn't be revealing. So don't leave it sitting idle. Now I'm going to go look at that. Read chat, please. See what that was. David Graham says, sue. I think, is he saying to file a lawsuit against QuickBooks? It's not a large enough amount because, as I told you before, I try not to charge sales tax. I try not to charge for sales items. So I had processed a bunch of invoices before I came across that one that had resale stuff. So the amount of money difference isn't worth it. So what I did is I had he says, yep, that's what he meant. What I did is I had the AI modify the Python script so that anytime it finds a markup amount, then just hold that dollar amount of that markup item and add it to any others that are on that invoice. When you get all of those combined, make that a total number, and then when you create the invoice in FreshBooks, add a discount line at the bottom to just subtract out the sales tax that would be due on that total amount of markup. So that way, the total of the invoice in FreshBooks is exactly the same number as the invoice in QuickBooks, which is important to me because when I receive the check from those clients, I'm going to be entering that payment in FreshBooks. So FreshBooks has to have the correct number. So basically, I'm just reducing my time charges, was what it effectively amounts to, by that amount. And it's not a big number. So I'm not sweating it. Greg M. asks, are you emailing out all your invoices? Almost. I have a few holdouts that want U.S. mail invoices. It's such a nuisance. And those are all small dollar amount clients, typically home users that aren't actively paying bills from emails. And it's just about one a month that I have to print a invoice. And here's the thing. Hang on. I'll do it this way. This is my invoice letterhead that I have used for decades. And at the bottom has my address and my phone number. So I've got it bent over. But I'm out of these. I think I have like 2 sheets left. So I've been printing on blank paper and then, hang on. And then I fold the invoice and send it in my pre-printed, window envelope, nice looking business professional envelope. Well, I've got lots of envelopes, but I'm out of letterhead and I don't want to print a whole, 500 sheets, whatever, for these like 3 or 4 small dollar amount clients that want US mail invoices. Now QuickBooks, this is another thing, this transition I did not like. QuickBooks allows me to send an email invoice that looks like this. If they print it out on a color printer, they will get the invoice the way that it looks. Those boxes aren't showing up right with the reflection. But FreshBooks doesn't do that. It doesn't have much customization capabilities. So I'm not real happy with the way those invoices look. Transitions, yuck. Now, Greg didn't do anything to draw my attention to that, so there might be other people who have asked questions that are worth responding to. 0% sales tax in Delaware. Yeah, everybody knows that. All our neighboring states love us. Yeah, a lot of people have like shell businesses that they file their incorporation in Delaware, and yet they're operating in other locations. Tricky thing to accomplish. Somebody doing a clone. Disc Genius and its free download. Thank you for mentioning that to everybody. Seems like a lot of manual checking for a process to make things more automatic. Well, I haven't been doing that manual checking. I'm not quite sure I'm on the same page of what he was referring to. What manual checking? I didn't catch that problem by checking. All I was doing was looking at the total invoice amount in FreshBooks compared to QuickBooks. If you call that manual checking, I guess so. But there were other reasons why the numbers could come up differently. Phil, I'm curious as to why you have a sign saying Charlie's Man Cave behind you. Yeah. Charlie was my dad, and he had that over his front door at his the retirement home, assisted living place that he was living at. And I think, did he actually have that at our home before he moved into the assisted living? I think he did, but where would it have been? Yeah, I don't know the origination of that sign, but it's just one of the things that I held on to. I've got many things around here that I held onto from my mom and dad. And the picture next to that sign is my mother's high school graduating picture. I think it's high school. Catherine, just ask them to pay in cash. Problem solved. No. Oh, that'd be such a nuisance. Are you crazy? No way. No way. To go pick up the cash? No. Oh, that's not a, you can't make a full time significant volume business by taking cash every time. Phil says it's nice. Yeah, if you're doing, Catherine builds computers for people and helps them, and it's oftentimes a one-time transaction. It's a whole lot more feasible to do in that environment. Oh, Zavi, you don't have a color printer. You can print several pages at one of your clients with permission, of course. And I have done that. I have a client who's completely okay with that. It's just a nuisance to have to go do that for these small volume clients. They can write a check off of a black and white printed sheet of paper. It works. I don't have to spend my time to go do it as that special service to make it look nicer. Sam Lazar, exclamation mark C. I don't remember hearing that one come through. I'm going to go check and see if it's broken. Let's see, I've got to escape out of that. Was there an error? There was not. At 11:48. Oh no, it was totally missed. 11:48 is like 10 minutes ago. This says 2 minutes ago. So it didn't even generate an error. Let's check over here. Yeah, if anybody's got stories to tell or questions, this would be a good time for it. Let's see, that's 9:33. Okay, gotta go to the top.
Read
this
chat, please.
list. Possible chat. Yeah, I don't see any error anywhere.
Read
Okay.
chat, please.
A couple of read chats here. Sam did not use it right. Oh, really? Here, exclamation mark C space. Oh, he put my name in first. That's why. Yeah, the exclamation mark C has to be at the beginning of the line. When he did at LWTB, that blew it. Blew it. I did not say with no word it should not be recorded. Oh, they're talking. That's a conversation between them. Not going to try to figure that out. Yeah, the exclamation mark C is not working out here. You have to put that at the beginning of the line. Dad is an Australian tax accountant, and he wants all transactions recorded. Oh, yeah, that's right. That would be a... You can record cash transactions. It's more work. Yeah, winter mute, right. Are you, okay, Greg M. asking, are you still using LogMe and Rescue for remote support? Yes, but it is at risk. I have one office that every time I connect to any one of their computers, it connects for a few seconds and then boop, it goes away. And then it says reconnecting. And it reconnects. And then boop, it's gone. So for that office, I'm using remote PC that we set up for their parent company to be able to connect remote to those computers. So I can easily connect to them remotely using remote PC. I'm very tempted to switch over to remote PC because it costs less. It gets in quicker. And yeah, LogMe and Rescue does some things that a remote PC doesn't do. Like I can connect to cell phones with LogMe and Rescue. I can't do that with remote PC. Now I have to pay extra with LogMe and Rescue for that, and I do. I have that available all the time. And LogMe and Rescue allows me to query a bunch of technical information about the computer that I don't think remote PC does. Now there's another one of these. John Williams coming in with 23 again. I got the idea the other day that maybe, just maybe, what he's doing is reporting how many viewers he sees. No, I see 46 watching. I don't think that's it. I don't think it's a score on a game because he uses that same number so often. So I haven't figured that one out yet. Okay. The laptop, the transition.
Read chat, please.
Just contemplating what other interesting topics to get to. Okay, that read chat is David Graham. Do you think 8 gigs of mem is enough for a PC that only pays bills and shop online, or should I use 16? It'll work for what you're describing. And if you try it with 8 gigs of memory and then you try those same things with 16 gigs of memory, you may or may not notice a difference. What really depends upon is how much of that memory that computer is using. Now, a lot of people, myself included, is really shying away from a computer with 8 gigs, but I am providing computers to businesses. They care about these little slugishnesses here and there. 8 gigs will work. It pays bills and shop online. So if you've got an Amazon tab open, maybe some other shopping tab, paying bills, maybe your bank tab, when you're clicking to go from one tab to another or clicking to go from one screen to another, I think is where you're going to see maybe a difference, but very possibly not. And when you say that's all the computer is used for, I'm imagining you've got a person who uses their computer 4 or 5 times a month. They're not at the computer every day. The price difference between 8 gigs and 16, I suppose it might be more significant these days with, as I understand, the price of memory has gone up.
Read chat, please.
And is this for a new purchase? Is it a mini computer? I don't know if other things like that matter. Jim says 8 gigabytes might work. It will. I know. I've seen it. It'll work. You wouldn't like it very much. Depend upon who you are and what you're doing. If you're not in a hurry at all and you're truly only using it, maybe a total amount of time over the month is 1 or 2 hours.
Read chat, please.
Yeah, you might be all right. You may be fine with it. Maybe on Linux that's fine, not Windows 11. 8 gig hasn't been enough since Windows 10 in 2020. Yeah, well, I disagree with that. I've come across computers even in offices that were 8 gigs, and they were just putting up with it. Now, actually, those were Windows 10 computers. It's an all-in-one for a friend. So meaning an all-in-one new computer, you're looking to buy a new all-in-one. There's a lot of computers sold by the major brands that are being sold with 8 gigs. The major brands are packaging them with 8 gigs. I've had times when I go to order a computer, only
chat,
available
please.
as 8 gigs.
Read chat,
With 8
please.
gigs RAM, you want to install Linux and avoid using Chrome. This is words from a custom builder. Respectable, but there are other circumstances. The problem seems to be only when they're talking to each other. Putting up with it doesn't mean it's right. Okay, again, that's a personal perspective. SW, whatever. Phil, I only use this computer as an email backup. Yeah, lots of Windows 11 computers are being sold with 8 gigs. Damn. They're not paying attention to the people on this channel who say it's not acceptable. That's a perspective. I would not put an 8 gig new computer into a client's office. Absolutely not. This is conversations between people. Okay. Even stronger opinion. Okay. What are we doing here? See, I did not have a bunch of topics
Read
lined
chat,
up
please.
for today. David says, 16 it is. Yay. All right, there you go. Jim and Catherine, he listened to you. He went for 16. See, I watch and still nothing. I already rewarded you points, Ken. You were not watching. I already awarded you points. I better not try to decrypt that. Oh, he says, I saw the 3 points. All on that? I don't know. What points? Oh, Catherine, you haven't been around for a while. You don't know that I'm awarding points. Let's give Catherine a whole bunch of points, shall we? 1,000 extra points. I don't think you've been around since I started points. So now you have 2,800 points. For every 5-minute period that you are active in chat, for every 1 minute, you get 50 points automatically every minute that you're active. The way you're considered active is if you have had a chat message within the last 5 minutes. And right now, points are just shows your involvement, your interact. Oh, there's FedEx. This would be the parts for the laptop. I'm going to have to go sign for that. Let's see. How do you feel about watching skiers? This is China Peak, where I skied a lot during. Oh, I already had that on. I guess I went from chat to here. Yeah, here he is. I'll be back. He did not ask for a signature. The sign said, signature required. No, it's not. You don't need no stinking signature. Unless my apparently failed attempt to sign electronically actually did work. blacking out all of the. Oh, that one's there's one label on these things that doesn't black out. I mean, it's kind of the ink just won't take hold. I'll tape over it. Now let's see that one. Let's get rid of this plate. Keyboard camera, nothing laying out there. Concern. And I did not bring my box cutter. Okay. Packing list. Bubble wrap. We're expecting here is a back cover for the laptop and a bezel. The part about taking the screen out of the current back panel, I don't think I've ever done that. Now this bezel has the opening for the webcam. Let's see, that strip of tape across the top and the bottom. I think that probably needs to stay on there. I don't know what that is. Might be covering an adhesive. These are new parts purchased directly from Dell. Okay. I'm going to go grab the service tag for that laptop and bring up the manual. Let's see, that was originally, now this laptop, I originally purchased it on behalf of my client, and in 2022, and it encountered a problem with the hinges, I think it was. And he wound up replacing the laptop and then approved me to repurpose it for my grandson. Ah, I even recognize this service tag because we looked it up last week. And let's minimize that so I don't accidentally do that. Oh yes, Phil. Loosen the tension of the hinges. Yeah, I do want to do that because I think they're just too tight. Okay, so here we go to Dell.com support. The drivers and down the manuals and documentation. Paste the service tag here. Search. Let's see, 3D guides, service tag more. Just because express service tag. Text message telling me that it's been delivered. Support services and warranty. I want the manuals. Over here. Ah, there we go. Service manual. That would do it. Removing and installing components. And then what we're replacing is the display assembly, display bezel, display panel, this display assembly would be the whole assembly. Display panel, I think, is probably going to take us through most of the stuff. SD card, service mode, base cover, wireless LAN, display assembly, hinge caps, display bezel. I think we can go straight to that one because all the rest of the stuff is done. And it's just, this was showing the direction to go across each of those sides to release the clips. So that was not, that's just display bezel. And that's already separated. Now here's something. When you saw me struggling a little bit last week with the display bezel, thinking that it seemed to have some kind of adhesive. And I'm thinking that's what these strips are on the top and bottom. I go to here. So this is completely loose except that it's got this strip of adhesive of some sort. I had not yet looked closer at that. Yeah, so that looks to be exactly what those strips are on the replacement bezel. So I want to get that all removed from the display side. There's still some residual left there. And this display panel is still attached to the back. And the reason why we're doing this, for those who did not see last week, let's bring this camera down more, is that the hinge on this side is still screwed into the fasteners. And on this side, those fasteners are broken out. So the replacement back panel has those nuts secured in place on both sides. Standoffs, would that be a fair word to use for them? Well, let's go ahead and take that hinge off. Okay. Now I was saying that I thought this was the computer that I did a repair of the hinges using epoxy, but I didn't see any residual epoxy on this. And somebody said that they thought it was the Surface laptop that we repurposed for my daughter from a client, again approved for repurposing. But no, that one was the keyboard issue. Remember the one about drilling out all of those plastic parts that secured the keyboard in the bottom cover, and how they we found somebody on a YouTube video that was using a soldering iron and twist ties, with the plastic of the twist ties as basically a solder. That was what the Surface was about. So I still don't understand why I don't see residual from that epoxy. All right. This is not the part that I wanted. Where do I get to? Is it just so simple to remove that display panel that I don't even need instructions? See, I'm kind of futzing with it here. I guess I ought to have the camera on. Seems like I could just lift out. Not doing so easily. All right.
Read chat,
Please
please.
cover. Say, Greg M. There may be quick release tape to release the screen. I'd like to find some instructions for it. Display assembly, removing the display assembly. That seems like it'd be the whole thing. Base cover, WN LAN card. Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole assembly. Hinges we did. Display back cover. This feels maybe like a definite maybe. Yeah, so here's the back cover without the display. Moving the display back cover. Who's that? Display bezel, display panel. Okay, that's the display panel. This is the trying to see how that matches up with the image. There's the connector. Connector is part of the screen. So this connection right here is this. Okay, there's hinges. These arrows pointed up that way, implying that I need to move the screen that direction. This, those are the arrows like it showed me for the bezel. Oh, okay. So it's saying that I need to push outward on that back cover, I think. So I'm thinking it's like saying push out this way. The first part was this looks like it's already up off of the back cover. Okay, I can get a pretty significant separation there. Then I think this part is saying that I need to push out on the sides. Now, what about the actual written instructions? What does it say? Flat and clean surface. Yeah, well, we do what we can. Connect the display cable to the connector at the back of the display panel. Close the latch to secure the cable. Is this putting it back together? Adhere the tape that secures the display cable to the back of the display panel. Turn the display panel over and place it on the display back cover. Lift the bottom side of the display panel and slide the top side into the slots at the top of the display back cover. Gently push down on the edges until it clicks. So we are expecting clicks. This is all installation. This is not removal. Removing and installing components. Display assembly.
Read chat, please.
This part is removing. Did I click on the wrong one? Yeah, I think I did. Greg says it appears there's only clips holding the display in, and Doman has, here it shows, it's got a YouTube video like that. Now removing display, but this is removing the assembly. That never got to actually removing the display. So I did get to that part. Yeah, because that's all that is. So installing the display back cover, they don't actually, that's not actually removing the display back cover. That's the whole assembly. Or is it? Okay, let's go look at your YouTube. Right click, open link a new tab. Yeah, that looks real familiar. Okay, what's he going after there? What? I did not see that in the manual. Oh, all right. Okay, I see it, I think. Get a little fan one. This little tab right here. Ha! That's it. This just kind of feels kind of gross. Oh, I so don't like this. Come back and look at that again. I'd say I never would have guessed that. Just keeps coming and coming and coming. All right. And then it just pulls up. So that's this tape that holds it down, I guess. There it is. Yeah, well, I wasn't anywhere near close to thinking that was it. Did I just say it? It's like pulling a long snot out of your nose. Yeah, there. Easy. Easy once you know how. How is that not in the manual? Because the manual does not say how to remove the display screen
Read
from
chat,
the back
please.
cover. As far as I can tell. Read Catherine's. Says John Williams.
Read chat, please.
And then you'll also need replacement tape strips to fasten the panel to the new back panel. I think those are included on the back panel. I'm not sure. It looks like a parasitic. Yes, absolutely. That was on my mind too. Pulling out a parasitic worm. Absolutely, that was on my mind. Let's see, who did that? YouTube. Doman. Let's take a copy across that and paste it there. And well done. That was very useful. I wasn't anywhere near close to getting that right. Yeah, I feel a unpleasant dreams coming on tonight with that thought. Okay, so what is still connected is this is the wire that connects on the motherboard for the screen and comes out here for the camera. And there's the Wi-Fi antenna. So this whole piece here for the camera, does that come on the new back panel? Or do I have to transfer that? Looks like I have to transfer that. Whoa, wait a minute. Is this the right part? Oh, I'm not liking this. Look at these things. That right there? I don't see that on the old piece. Let's see, the hinges are on this side. Yeah, the hinge mount points are completely wrong. You can see them right there. Those hinge points are completely wrong. Oh, on some level, I can't say that I'm surprised. But this is why I would prefer to experiment on something like this on a non-client computer. It's not right. Just not right. Why is it wrong? Did they send me the wrong one? Or did we find the wrong one?
Read chat, please.
Chris Garrett says, one time I replaced the screen,
Read
I
chat,
just
please.
replaced the whole lid. Yeah, I've done that too. Check the bezel. Yeah, Greg, that's exactly what I was thinking. I had thought that I had recognized these elements of the bezel because I was comparing them when I placed the order. There they look to be right. I'm going to take the screen out of the way. They're more visible there. All those pieces right down there in the hinge area, that looks the same. And then those notches on the bottom of the bezel, they all look the same. Part in here, which is the top of the bezel for the camera, those look the same. The bezel looks good. This guy does not. The mounting points are just that's absolutely no go. Oh, look at that. It's a different size. It's taller. Oops, you got to see this. Yeah. Different size. Go this way. How did that go wrong? The width, it's pretty close, not quite exact. The new one's a little bit wider. Tiny bit wider and a significant amount taller. Yeah, I caramba. Is there a part number on the one you got? Greg M asks. Yeah, there's a bunch of numbers. Is anybody able to come up with a link that we used last week for ordering it? And which of these numbers is the part number? Thinking it's likely that, but well, a part number on the old one I'm not so concerned about because we
chat,
know it's the
please.
wrong part. But what I'm more interested in is, did we get the one that I ordered? Check the label on the old back panel, and also again, why. What I'm more concerned about is, did we get the one I ordered? What's my easiest way to find that? See, that was last week, and I don't have instant recall of everything that we did back then. Somebody provided a link. Oh, and you know what? Oh, the chat replay is gone last week. Here's the show from last week. There's no chat replay because I had to edit that video because I exposed something I should not have. And when I do that, when I edit something like that, I lose the chat replay. So the only way to see it is if it shows up
Read chat, please.
On screen. Check the packing slip, Marsman says. All right. To compare the part number with what we got, and you could, this is what we'd be trying to do there. I'm going to start that by checking to see if I can get a part number that corresponds
Read chat, please.
with the bezel, because that way I can identify which of these items on the packing list is the bezel, and the other one would be the part number that I'm looking for on the panel. That last read chat was, let's see, oh, Catherine's got a link. And the read chat was from Zavi Manor. He's also got a Dell link. So let's go look at those two. Open that one in a new tab and go to Catherine's. New tab. So this one is Catherine's. And this one is Zavi's. Oh, I'll stay on the United Kingdom because that's what he looked up. So look between those two. So the name here, LCD back case, rear silver, cover, rear silver. So both of these are silver instead of black. The one I ordered is the black. All right, I'm going to turn my attention back to those parts. part numbers. So 8W money or 9W C73. There it is. 09W C73 matches this one. So this one is the bezel.
Read chat please.
Greg M says parts people show several covers for that model based on part number of the original part.
Read chat please.
And Phil says, does the bezel fit the back cover? The bezel fits the existing back cover. It does not fit the ordered back cover. So you can see that the new bezel is smaller than the new back cover. And if I take the original back cover and fit the bezel over it, yeah, that's a perfect fit. So I think clearly the bezel is correct. The back cover is not. And the reason is probably that there are multiple different back covers for this model, that it could be that different in size. Jeez. Now, 8WMNY. Let's see, I'm going to find probably a similar label. It's the one with the QR code, and it's the CN number 08WMNY. Yeah, that matches what's on the packing list. So they sent me what's on the packing list. Is that what I ordered? Let's see, I'd ordered that off of Dale. Oh, go to my account on Dale's website. And then order status. Zero orders. Saved, I need previous orders. Let's try my account. View all orders. Doesn't have any orders. Recent orders. You have new orders at this time. It's not showing up anywhere. All right, let me go try my emails. Last week was December 27. All right, here's an email from December 29th that my order is on the way. When I click on the actual item on that email, this is what it shows me. All right, thank you very much.